Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I am your yarn host Jennifer, and today we have a tutorial for you, and it's going to be one of those weird little tutorials that you wonder what is Cinnamon Stitches thinking, but I'm going to tell you, okay? So a little introduction, in case you don't know, I've been working with this funky yarn for the past 2 weeks, and this is textured yarn. It is cotton and scrubby yarn mixed together. It's from Bernat. I think it's Bernat Handicraft or something or another. I have the label. Scrub off. Okay. So on the label is this cute little, it's supposed to be a shower puff. Okay. I messed up. I messed up. I was not reading properly. I messed up. But while I was making this, I got to thinking, like, that kind of looks like a brain, right? And back here behind me is the coolest yarn bowl in the world, which I showed, I think, yesterday's video. And it is an open-headed skull yarn bowl. Well, if you don't know Cinnamon Stitches, I have a slight obsession with Frankenstein. And there will be periodically little Frankensteins popping up in my background. And right above Stitch right here is a little tiny Frankenstein. There will be more as the season moves on. Including this beautiful guy. This is a planter I got off of Amazon, okay? It's a planter with an open head. I also bought Treebeard because I love Treebeard, okay? So, these were not a whole lot of money. These were way cheaper than the yarn bowl, but because I was thinking, like, look at his face. He's like half crazy, right? He needed a brain. So we crocheted him a brain, and this makes me laugh and it makes me so happy. So we're gonna do a tutorial for a brain, but also it's a scrubby, okay? But mostly it's a brain. I'm gonna give you the option so you don't have to have the string on there. If you just want to crochet what looks like a brain, we can crochet just the brain together. I'm going to show you how to do the handle if you want to do the handle. But this makes me ridiculously happy. And Bentley is very unhappy because he's not in here with me. So we're going to make a brain for Treebeard. Now, Treebeard may actually end up getting a crocheted plant inside his head in a little while. But for the purposes of this video, we're making another brain. This is Premier Home Cotton. So it's, I don't remember the percentage. It's like so much cotton and then there's so much polyester in it, and the polyester, oh, I have some right here. Let's see. Y'all, I went to the eye doctor today and I don't have my eyeglasses yet, so 85% cotton, 15% polyester. It's supposed to help the stink not go into the thing so much, but I mean, we're making a brain. But also, I'm going to give you a little clue, okay? If you want to keep him somewhere, because he does have a pretty good drain hole, when you're done with your scrunchie, you could just plop it in his head. But he is going to drain. I'm not using this as a scrunchie because I don't want mold or anything to collect in here. I don't know what would happen because it's a planter. It shouldn't get mold, but you just don't know. So I am just making another brain, but like I said, I will show you how to do that. Now, you can make the brain out of the home cotton. You can make the brain out of the scrubby cotton and do the pattern the correct way so it looks like this instead of all floppy. I am using Premier Home Cotton Big Marl. This is long been discontinued yarn. It's just their cotton. I got this big giant ball for like $5 years and years ago. So, you can use whatever yarn you want. If you're making a brain, it doesn't have to be cotton. If you're making a scrubby, it doesn't necessarily have to be cotton either. You can use Premier, yeah. You can use some acrylics because it's plastic to make scrubbies. You can use the scrubby yarn. You can use whatever you want. I mean, if it's going to be a scrubby, think about what you're using with it. But if it's just going to be a brain, you could use the new fluffy yarn, which I thought about using. You can use a really bulky yarn and make a big brain, which is what I'm going to do for my bowl back there. I'm going to use the same pattern. I'm just going to use a fat yarn, and I have some really bright pink homespun yarn from Lion brand that I think is going to turn into a brain, and we're going to use the same pattern for all of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the table. The hook that I'm using is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. It makes a difference only because it will change how big or how small your brain is. Or your bath scrubby. It's a bath scrubby too, like whatever you want it to be. We're gonna put Treebeard out of the way. Let's go down the table. We're gonna start this. This tutorial should be really easy. There's probably gonna be background noises though because everybody is home. And we had company a little bit ago, and the little man is very excited about his company. So with that, keep in mind if there's background noises. That's just the way it is in my world. All right, let's go to the table. All right. This one took slightly less than a full ball of the normal size, but also this was an older ball, so the balls have less yardage. I'm going to say have 2 small balls of the home cotton on hand just in case. This big one took, I don't know, because I was crocheting off of a big ball. This pattern is ridiculously easy, so don't be scared. I know it looks complicated, but it's so easy. So we're going to call this the brain scrubby. Okay, now to start, we're just going to make a slip stitch. And to do that, you just make like an awareness ribbon, go from top to bottom. You want your short tail on the bottom, pinch at the X, go top to bottom, grab the yarn, pull up, you have a slip stitch. Alright, we're going to chain 5, actually we're going to chain 6. 1, whoops, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to slip stitch into that first slip stitch that we made, or slip stitch. We're going to make a ring that looks like this. Okay, we are going to work in this hole right here. Okay, we're not going to work in the individual stitches, we're going to work into the hole. So we're going to move our tail over, chain 1, and to start, if you want to make the handle, we're going to make the handle first. If you don't want to make a handle, you don't have to make a handle. If you're just making a brain, you can skip this part. I'll tell you what to do next. So if we're making a handle, we're going to chain 50. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this number does not really matter. If you have small hands and you need a smaller handle, just chain it so it's big enough. You have to take into consideration this is attached all the way down in the center. So you have to add like 2 inches and make sure that it can fit around your hand and your wrist. So if you chain whatever length that is to fit around your wrist, I have big hands, Mr. Cinnamon has big hands. So I'm making mine a chain of 50, but the chain here does not matter. If you want it to be smaller, chain 40, chain 30, does not matter. If you're making a kid one, chain 30. Okay, and then we're just going to go back into that hole and we are going to put a single crochet. And that will count as our first single crochet of the row. Okay, now we are going to put 24 more single crochets. Now if you didn't do the handle because you're just making a brain, just put 25 single crochets around in here, okay? Just 25. 1, 2. And it's going to get really, really tight. And you're going to have to make sure that while you're doing this, you're squishing your stitches back towards the beginning of the row. Like that. Just keep every 5 stitches, just slide them back so you have room. Otherwise, it's going to get real tight. Just grab the top part and just slide them. And make sure that your stitches are on the loose side, because the next row we're going to be putting 3 stitches in every single one of these stitches. I already lost count. I think that was 15. See how we're at 20 and like we're almost out of room? That's why you want to make sure you keep sliding them stitches around the bend. Just keep pushing them back like that. See? That gave us a little bit more room. Alright, we got our 25 stitches. It should look like that. I feel like the light is too bright in here. Maybe the yarn is too light. Alright. Alright, so see, we got our 25 stitches in there. Now, if you're having a hard time seeing the stitches, turn it so that you're looking at the side, not the flat part. And every time you see a V here, that's the stitch you're going to work into, okay? Don't worry, I'll show you again. So we're going to start off, we're going to chain 3. That counts as a double crochet. So that counts as our first double crochet in the row. And in that same stitch, we're going to put 2 more. See if you turn it right here, that first V. 2 more double crochets in that same stitch. That counts as 3 double crochets in the first stitch. And then we're going to go to the next stitch. We're going to put 3 double crochets. I really need my glasses. Everything's blurry to me. I'm going to go grab my glasses. Just put 3 double crochets in each one of those stitches by the end of the row, because we started with 25 and we're putting 3 in each. We should have 3 times 5, which is 75 in the full circle. I'll be right back. Alright, I got my glasses, so now that I can see the stitches better. So if you ever doubt, just take and turn it back towards you. See here, here's a stitch. Right here. Three double crochet. It is really hot in here. Mr. Cinnamon turned the AC off on me. Oof. Turn it back. Here's a stitch. If your stitch count is not perfect, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're not going to be able to see where any of the stitches are. I promise you. The goal of this is to put so many stitches in each one of these stitches that it starts to wave and fold on itself. And so if you notice, as the rows get bigger, it will fold back on itself more and more. And by the 3rd row of doing this, you're going to have 600 and something stitches. Like, it is a lot. Let's see. Let me check. 675 stitches by the time you are done with the 3rd row. So, while this is a hard, it's not hard. While this is not a hard project, that last row is 675 stitches, and it takes forever. So, you think, oh, I'm making a small little sponge. This should only take me 20 minutes. Well, maybe 20 minutes for the 3rd row. So what we're going to do is we're just going to repeat this row 3 times. Or, if you want to make the brain even bigger, you could probably do a 4th or a 5th row. I have not tried that out. But keep in mind, every time you add a row, your last row stitch count will triple. So because our first row is 25, our second row is going to be 75, our 3rd row will be 225, our 4th row will be 675, and so on and so forth, and what have you. So, these are things to consider if you want to make a bigger brain, which is why my next brain, which I was actually going to use the homespun for this tutorial, but I was like, people aren't going to be able to see the stitches, so like I'm definitely going to make a homespun brain, and I'm going to see how big I can make it, and I will definitely show that on Monday Bakes video. But the basic gist of this is just triple your stitches. So row 1, 25 single crochet, which is where I screwed up on this one. I did double crochet for the first row, and it gives you like a flat disc, which, I mean, it's still a brain. You can still wash with it. So if you start the row with double crochets, this is what it will look like. One side's a brain, one side's flat, but it's completely round if you do it with the single crochets in the first row. So, alright, you know what, we're going to stay together while we do the first row. I am not going to stay on for the second row and the third row. I'm going to show you what to do for the next 2 rows, but since you've already mastered putting 3 stitches in each single crochet here, you can do the same thing for the next row. It's really quite easy. I have seen these 100 times on different channels and different videos, and it always looks so hard, and I was always afraid to even look up the pattern to how to make a scrunchie. Because I was like, I'm never going to make one of those. Well, now I'm like, I need to go buy some nylon yarn so I can make a nylon one. Because how often am I going through those scrunchie, those puffer things like from the store that are $2, $1? They don't last. I'm going through one of those a month. And $1, $2 ain't nothing in the grand scheme of things. But like if I can make one out of like actual nylon that's crocheted, that's not just mesh squished together, it might last me a little longer. I think I'm gonna have to get my neck fan out. I am hot. Ooh wee. I can figure out where I put it. I know you guys are yelling at me. You moved it, and I probably moved it in the video. Can't find it. I can't find it. Alright, so we're just continuing on. Now the way that this tutorial actually came to be is kind of a funny story, and I already told it a little bit in a couple different videos. I was sitting on the couch making the messed up, the screw up scrunchie just because I was trying to figure out what to do with that yarn to use it up. And see, I crocheted too tight here, and now I'm fighting to get in the stitches. That's why I told you guys, like, keep those stitches a little bit loose. If you need to do the first row and a bigger hook, do the first row and a bigger hook. If you're fighting it, don't fight it. And I'm sitting there and I was thinking, I was like, God, this would be so cool. It looks like a brain. It would be cool and like a brain. And I think in a past, well, not in a past video, I think I saw the skeleton yarn bowl head on an ad previous in the week. Because my brain instantly went to, oh, that would be so cool to have a skeleton with an open up thing to put that in for his brain. And I took a break in between stitching because my hands needed a break. I was doing 675 stitches, and I open up Facebook and there is the yarn bowl, and I'm like, yeah, but my Joann's is not going to have that yarn bowl because my Joann's is really bad for having stuff, and they never unload their truck properly, and I've had so many orders canceled. I'm like, you know what, I have a 60% off coupon. I am going to make an attempt to buy this yarn bowl for pickup, and I did. And then I was thinking, that kind of like all seemed to work together. Like I'm working on something that looked like a brain, then I find something that goes with what looks like a brain, and then I'm like, I wonder if they have something that has an open head that's Frankenstein. And lo and behold, Amazon had exactly what I needed, and it was only like $7, $8, I think. And so that's where the tutorial. See how it's folding it over on itself? That's what happens when you put too many stitches into, like when you add too many stitches, it ruffles. Last stitch, our 3 double crochets in. I am going to slip stitch into the chain 3 of the first of the row. This is what it will look like. See how it's already starting to, like, it's going to get even more crunched in on itself. And then you have your little handle over here. Whether you want the handle or not is up to you. Now we're going to do that again. Chain 3. This is row 2 of the repeats. And in this stitch, and every stitch, we're just going to put 3 double crochets. And then, guess what? Row 4, you're going to do the same thing. So when you get to the end of this row, you should have, what I say, 225 stitches at the end of this row, give or take. It doesn't matter, don't count. It does not matter, don't count. If you're one of those people that has to count 225, if you're one of those people that has to use the same hook size I'm using, it's a 5.5 millimeter. When you get back to the front of the row, we're going to slip stitch, chain 3 to make the double crochet of the next row. And you're going to do this all over again and put 3 double crochet in every single stitch so that you have 675 stitches. And if you want to do a 4th row or a 5th row or a 5th row or 6th row, you got to go, keep going, just keep playing with it. Keep adding stitches until you run out of yarn. Keep adding stitches till your brain is as big as you want it to be. You can make this just 2 rows and you'll have just like a small little scrubby. I don't know what this is going to do or what this is going to wash, but you can, it's your scrubby, you can do it however you want. One thing I'm going to say, if you're using this scrubby style yarn, use a basic metal hook. Something simple, and the reason I say that is because in the even like the dots hooks would work really well. Susan Bates, boy hook, like the basic hooks, don't use your fancy hooks. I'm gonna tell you why. I screwed up a rose gold furls hook, like the old Odyssey ones. Let's see if I have one up here. They used to make these in rose gold, and this is the Odyssey. They don't make this hook anymore, but like if it has like a chrome plating on it, like a lot of the furls hooks used to have, or if it's the resin style hooks, you can cause damage to your hooks using the scrubby yarn. You can cause there to be scratches in both of those style of hooks. You can cause there to be damage in the finish, and it will not crochet as well. You can also cause burrs to happen. I have done both using scrubby style yarn. So if you're using scrubby style yarn for this, anything that looks jagged or raggedy like that, use a really basic cheap hook that you don't care about. I'm just going to give you that little warning because I about cried when I ruined my hook. And then I did it a second time thinking, oh, the resin hook will work. No, it doesn't. Because you're literally, some of those scrubby yarns are really, really rough. If you're using a rough yarn, you use a cheap hook because there's no, like, that's why we're using, this is not a cheap hook. Don't get me started on this hook. These are the twist and locks from Susan Bates. I love these hooks. These are one of my go-to hooks. This along with the dots hooks. They were not cheap. It was $40 for the set, but I used coupons. I didn't get it for full price. I think I got 50% off of this set. So they're not cheap, but they're convenient as heck because like they come apart and you change the heads. And it's got a little cutter on this end that I keep tucked in so it doesn't snag on anything. These are available at Joann's. I was told they're also available at Michael's, but I have not seen them at Michael's. Alright, so I'm going to finish up doing 3 double crochet in every stitch in this row, and then I'm going to do the next row the same way, and I'm going to come back and we're going to show our work. Okay, so you just keep on trucking along. go turn on another Cinnamon Stitches video or one of your other favorite podcasters and watch that while we crochet. Oh, you won't hurt my feelings if you watch someone else while we're crocheting together, because we're together in spirit, right? And just keep going. It's going to keep folding over on itself, and then when you get to the next row, like, it's going to fold over on itself a lot, and you're going to have to keep like pulling it and twisting it and pulling it and twisting it, and then you're going to go, oh my god, is this row ever going to end? You're going to question all things in your life. It'll be worth it though. It'll be cute. It'll be fun to play with. These I think would be really good for little kids too. Like, these are fun little kid colors. And I had to double check, make sure I put enough stitches in there. I'm talking so much, I feel like I'm missing stitches. So yeah, we'll see you. I'll see you at the end of this brain. Just keep on going, keep on trucking. Do one more row exactly the same. Slip stitch to join, chain 3 to start the next row, 2 more double crochet in that stitch, and then 3 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. And don't have conversations so that you're missing stitches like I am, because like that's what we're doing. I'll be back. Alright, so we are just about at the end. We have this many to go. So I figured I'd come back on and finish it off with you guys. I will give you a finished measurement about how big this is. Like I said, you don't have to make this a scrunchie, not scrunchie, what are these called? Loofah. You don't have to make this a body thing. You can make a brain for decorations. You can make these and hang them from the ceiling as decorations because they're cool looking. They're like little fireworks. Did I put 3 there? I did. You can make it out of any yarn you want. You just make a bunch of brains and stick up. You know what else would be cute is if you get a mason jar and make some brains and put them in a mason jar and put it on your mantle or shelf or something. That'd be cute for Halloween. Or you can just make yourself a cute loofah and hang it in your bathroom. Just make sure that you wash it real good after use and you squeeze out all the water and you hang it up to dry. And after a couple of uses, throw it in the dishwasher to disinfect it or throw it in the washing machine on hot. It's a reusable, washable, scrubby thing. Or it's a brain for holiday decorations. You can use thick yarn. I was thinking, because I was looking through my yarn. I have really fat cotton yarn down there from, I have some from Premier Yarns, but I also have some from Michael's, and it's the same yarn with just Michael's label on it. I'll grab that real quick and show you. You could do the same thing with that, just use a bigger hook and the scrubby will turn out bigger, or the brain will turn out bigger naturally. And of course, if you make one out of like the homespun yarn that I'm going to do. Alright, I just slip stitched to join. You weave that in when you're done. Tuck that in and pretend it doesn't exist. So with a 5.5 millimeter hook and a basic 4-weight cotton, our little brain scrubby is about 12 inches or 30 centimeters. Let's measure this one too. It's probably about the same. Come on. There we go. Oh, this one's a little bit bigger. This one's 13. But this yarn's a little bit thicker. And then the big mess up brain one is trying to get it on there. Hold still. This one's about 18 inches around. So it does make a difference depending on the size of the yarn you're using, the size of the hook you're using, it will change how big or how small that is. So we got Treebeard and his little brain. We got Frankie and his little brain, which I will show you guys in a different angle. Let me grab some different yarn. And I know at least one person is going to tell me brains aren't pink, they're gray matter. You can do your brain whatever color you want. I'm doing a neon pink one because I can. Alright, so this yarn is the Bulky Twist Cotton Blend from Loops and Threads from Michaels. Premier has the same yarn. I don't know if I have one. I might. Hold on. This is the Premier version. But I'm looking for the name. See if I have one with the label still. Alright, it doesn't look like I have the one with the label on it still. Maybe not. Nope. All I have is scraps. So I don't have the one that Premier yarn. I don't remember the name of it offhand, but it's Bulky 5 and it's cotton. It is 50% cotton, 50% acrylic. You could probably use this for a brain. You could probably use this for a scrubby. Machine wash, warm, gentle cycle. I mean, I don't know how well it's going to hold up for a scrubby, but for a brain it'll work. But what I'm going to use for the next one is this one. I'm going to use this one for the next one. Because homespun has this beautiful texture. And because I'm just making a brain to fill up my yarn bowl, it doesn't matter if it's cotton or not. And this is a Bulky 5, so I'm going to need a bigger hook. But I will show you this on Monday, because I'm going to make it this weekend, hopefully. So, finished product, Frankie's brain. And you can squish it in more if you don't like it sticking out so much. I will link these planters in the description box below, because I know at least one or two of you is going to ask, where'd you get that? So I will link these directly. Isn't he cute? And then they also had Treebeard. They also had Groot, and they had quite a few other ones. Treebeard is not so much Halloween, but I mean, he's really cool and he's deserving of a brain. Isn't that cool? Tell me that don't look like a brain. Next, I think I want to crochet a plant to put into him, because for now this works really well for Halloween decorations, but tell me that don't look like a brain. He's so stinking cute. Look at. So next, we're going to make a pink one to go in this beautiful yarn bowl. We're going to make it real big. Go ahead and play with this pattern. If you want to put another couple rows to make this a much larger brain, that's what I'm going to do with this. I mean, test it out. Don't be afraid to try new stuff. The only way we fail at life is if we don't try. So, with that, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining me for this really silly tutorial on how to make Frankenstein's brain. Or a bath poof. That's what they're called, bath poofs. Whatever you want to call it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.